You can build a model
out of the factors and data that you put together in your factors and data library. So it all starts with the factors in the data library. As you can see here, I have 2 years of data. If I were to expand this date range out to 2020, you'll even see some data in 2020. In our models, we can take whatever slice of this data pie we want. We can build a model for just 2021. We can build a model for 2021 through 2022. The sky's the limit on what we pull in. We don't need to pull in all the factors. We can pull in just some. And we can also adjust the level of aggregation to be different than what we're seeing on this page. So think about the factors in the data library as the sandbox which the model pulls from to produce its results. So anything in the factors and data library at the time you are creating your model is subject to go into the model. So if we click models, we can see how this begins to work. I'll go to add a model. So I'll put in a start date for January 2021 and an end date for December 2022. Now you can see with a monthly model, the start date is always the first day in the month, and then the end date is always the last date in the month. If I say want to switch this to week starting, I'll need to change my dates. So for a start date, if my week starts on a Monday, I will be selecting a Monday. So if I go back to 2021, go to January, you see my selection starts on a Monday. Now my end date, remember, is always the actual end date. So if my week start date is on a Monday, then my week end date and the end date for this time range, the literal last day in this time range, is going to be on a Sunday. So when I click this selector and go to 2022 and go to December, I'm going to see that my options for the last date in this model is the 25th or the 1st. Here, I'm going to click the 1st. You can then select whatever combination of factors you want in your model. Click next. And when you click next, the model is taking a copy of everything in your factors and data library pursuant to your selections on the last two screens. It is taking the time range and the date frequency and all the factors listed and essentially creating a snapshot of that data in that frequency and format to then feed into the model. After this point, no matter what happens to the factors and data library, the data will stay the same in this model. If you make changes that you want to commit to this model, you would then need to rerun this factor snapshot stage. So here you can see I have 21 and 2022 and all my data here. It will give me a timestamp of when I created this model that you can refer to back whenever. So what this means is for this data snapshot, this was the state of the factors in the data library on January 23rd at 4:16 p.m. So you can always refer back to when this was taken. If everything looks right, I will click Estimate My Model. Both the model estimate and the Monte Carlo simulation run at the same time. And then in this view, you can start to see two types of charts: performance charts on your left-hand rail and statistic charts on the right-hand side. The performance charts tell the story of marketing performance in aggregate over time. So you have both of your years aggregated with some high-level performance statistics. You then go on to look at your total performance for all marketing tactics. If you want to look at a subset time range, click the settings icon and you can adjust the date range you're viewing. You'll then be able to see contributions across all tactics and the overall base contribution. If you want to hide any of these, you can simply click the legend to hide and see the remainder. You'll also have the ability to compare metrics over time for each year. So here I have an investment chart, and you can see that television had a substantial increase, connected TV had a substantial increase, but everything else sort of stayed the same. If I wanted to change the metric I'm viewing, I can change the metric here. Once we're satisfied with our model results, we can do a couple things, all right from the model results screen. We can decide to publish this model, which will then make it the default for all plans, as well as show it on the homepage of the segment whenever we log in. And we can add a plan directly to this model and start planning for our future. So if I click Publish Model, you'll see now that when I go to the Models tab, this model up here, which is displaying the revenue and investment over time, is now the published model. So this top pane will always, of the model's home screen, will always be the published model. And then you'll have a list of all models below. Previous models can be archived, unarchived, and deleted. A model must be archived first before it is deleted. As you can see here, I have a published model and a simulated model. I can create plans on either one of these models. So if I go into the new model, I can add a plan directly to this, simulate it, run it, show it in reports. The only downstream impact of the published model versus the non-published model is where I can publish my plan. In order to have a published plan, you must have a published model. You can think of published as the ultimate marker in the application of what is current, and everything else being in a draft state.